Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Youve.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, back yourself and be confident in what you're doing with Ellen Hedley. We talk about having the confidence to say no to things, how managing humans is one of the most difficult things to do, and is there anything actually annoying about Henry?
Ellen runs digital agency Vida Creative alongside her partner Henry. Currently a team of 6, they deliver creative solutions to client problems. After starting a career in higher education marketing, Ellen left her comfortable job and ventured into self-employment, all in the name of creative freedom. At this point, Ellen and Henry moved into a campervan, working and travelling around Europe for the next 18 months. Fast forward to today, and Vida Creative specialises in branding, website design and marketing for innovative businesses. And they're not finished yet, with plans to grow the business over the next 12 months. So Ellen, thank you ever so much for coming on and speaking to us on the Inspiration North podcast. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm very excited.
Excellent. We always ask the same question as the first question. Did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
When I was a child, when anyone ever asked me what I wanted to be, I always said actress. And I have no idea why, because I was an extremely shy child. Mm-hmm. I never spoke to anyone. I was like the child at Disneyland that was like running away from Mickey Mouse. But anytime anyone ever asked me, I was like, yeah, I want to be an actress. I want to and in my head, it was like on the theatre stage. Mm. And then, as I got older, obviously my confidence grew and I ended up being in all the school plays and stuff. So maybe that's my little childhood dream realised. But always actress.
Mm. It's creative.
Maybe
that's one of the dots we can look back on.
Mm. I went through an actress phase as well, actually. So I think it's fairly common. People generally tend to be what they can see.
Yeah, I guess so. So when we were younger, my grandparents looked after us a lot, and they always used to watch a lot of old films, like black and white films. And I think just watching that, and it was all like romanticized and always looked so lovely. And I think I just always thought, oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? If I could just go and, sing and dance around all day.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, that's what you think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
It's not hard at all, is it?
No, not at all. Not hard at all. But I did always have a little bit of a creative streak, I think, and that's probably why the actress thing was a thing when I was a kid anyway. But
was there a favourite type of movie? Was it something like Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, or was it a musical?
Sound of Music was one that we always had on video. It was my mum's favourite film, and I do not know how many times I've watched that film in my life, but it is a lot. So, and I just loved that film. Also, Singing in the Rain, used to watch that a lot as a kid. Mm. But Sound of Music.
Also was Sound of Music and Chit Chit Bang Bang.
Oh, same. Yeah, both of those. Yeah, we had them both on video, and loved it.
Oh, and Oliver as well.
Yeah.
My poor child's named after.
Oh,
Oliver. So we used to watch it all the time.
Oh, amazing.
Oh dear. So your accent's not particularly, says me, northeastern. So whereabouts did you grow up?
In Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk, so in East Anglia. Mm-hmm. And it's a little market town. And it was quite just a normal upbringing in a little town. I suppose obviously very different to Newcastle where we are now, like not a city at all. Mm. Small town, and I'm still friends with the people that I was friends with when I grew up and stuff like that, so that's lovely. But Yeah, not very much interesting going on there though, I must say. No offense to anyone that I love going home. I love going home to Bury and seeing my parents because they still live there. But I definitely, when I went to uni, I couldn't see myself moving back to Bury afterwards, I think.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So how did you find yourself in our beautiful city?
Well, my dad is from here. So, and my grandma still lives in Ponteland. So I've got family links here. But the longer story is that I went to uni in Lancaster, obviously in the northwest, and I studied film, funnily enough, and graduated, stayed there for a couple of years. But while I was there, obviously met Henry, my business partner, in second year of university. So we were together when we graduated, and he's from Hartlepool. So when we were, I'm sure we'll talk about that in between, but when we decided where we were going to settle down and move to, when we were setting up the business and everything, we both love Newcastle. I've been coming here all my life. He's from close to here. So yeah, just decided, we thought anywhere we can go, anywhere we want, where should we go? Pick Newcastle. And I'm very glad we did. Yeah.
It's good because often it's with lots of guests we've had, and I think we think the same. It's not sort of too big, but it's just big enough to have the kind of major chains and variety of bars and restaurants, even though we can't necessarily use them all as we want to at the moment. But there's just the right kind of balance without it feeling like, well, I've got to jump on the tube for 45 minutes to get somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. I couldn't, we knew we didn't want to go to London. That was where we knew we just couldn't deal with that. But it's funny because Lancaster, where we went to uni as well, is kind of similar. It's a lot smaller than Newcastle, but it has got a bit about it. Obviously it's got 2 universities in the city, so there is quite a lot going on. So although we stayed there for a couple of years, I think we kind of moved up to the level up, not quite, the Manchester or Birmingham or London, but Newcastle's the next step. But I think we'll stay here. I absolutely love it here.
Yeah, we've got everything on our doorstep. We've got the beautiful coast and country and history, and I like castles, so I'm really happy living a stone's throw from Northumberland. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Lovely. So you talked about university then. So you studied film.
Yes.
So when you reached that point of met Henry, deciding where to move to, what did you sort of think about for next steps in terms of work or business, or what was your sort of thinking?
Yeah, so when we graduated, we both didn't really know exactly what we wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go into marketing. Before I started university, I did a marketing internship at a theatre, the Theatre Royal in Bury St Edmunds, for 6 months, which was like marketing the shows and stuff like that. Now I think about it, there is a lot of, theatrical and film stuff going on in my life. But yeah, so that kind of showed me the world of marketing, and I knew that I wanted to go into that. So did film because I'm very interested in film. But during my time at university, I was in a marketing job at the Students' Union as well. So that kind of gave me a bit more of a taste of it. So when I graduated, I knew I wanted to go into marketing. Henry's a web developer, so he studied software engineering, and he was pretty set on he was just going to be a web developer. He already knew that's what he wanted to do. So he had his own business at the time with his friend, and they carried on running that. And I got a job. I worked in a PR agency in Blackpool, of all places, for a few months, and then moved back. Well, I was living in Lancaster, but I was kind of getting sick of the commute, and a marketing job came up at the university. So I went for that and got it. So at that point, I think I always knew that eventually I wanted to be self-employed. Henry was self-employed at that point. So obviously he was I thought he was just going to continue on that path. But eventually they decided to part ways. I moved to a job at a different university and moved up to a senior marketing position. But I always had that self-employment thing in the back of my head. I don't know if you've ever worked with or at universities. They're obviously massive organisations, and there's a lot of the marketing team didn't really have a lot of creative license, I suppose, and I really was like craving that. And we just sat down one day and thought, okay, should we can do this for ourselves maybe? Should we set up our own business? And Henry was working at another agency at this point, and they very kindly said that they would let him do freelance work for them. And we had that kind of comfort blanket, and I had some savings. So after we set up the business, and 6 months later I left my job. And we decided that we would go traveling at the same time as setting up a business, and living and working in a camper van around Europe, which at the time was absolutely petrifying for me. But Henry's always been very much the one that's like, let's do this, let's do that, very much the adventurous one. And I'm the one that's going, but what if that happens? What if this happens? And I think it's kind of a very good mix in business. I've definitely learned to be more adventurous, and I think Henry's learned to be a bit more cautious, but not too much. I think there's always a good balance to be had. So that was kind of what happened after graduation the first few years. And then, the next 18 months we spent essentially working as freelancers, and we visited, I think, 10 countries around Europe over the course of 2 years. 18 months.
Camper van.
Yes. It was a 31-year-old camper van, so all of the fun and games that comes with breaking down on the side of the road and stuff as well ensued. I never thought I would know anything about the engine of a blimmin' 32-year-old camper van, but we learned a lot about ourselves and about engines. But that was a very
go.
We went, so we just got the ferry across to the Netherlands, went to Germany, Austria, Spain, France, Croatia, Portugal, not in that order, obviously.
It's like that's a lot of how did you do that one?
So the first trip we went Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and then came down through the south of France and then did Spain and Portugal. Stayed there for quite a while because it was about this time of year, actually, like October time, and it was still so hot there, so we were like, right, we're just going to stay in the south of Spain for a bit, and then came back. And then the second time we went further east, so spent a bit more time in Austria. Henry's sister was actually living in Vienna at the time, so we went to see her, left the van there, and then got the bus across to Budapest for a couple of days. So kind of did all of that. And then that was the year we spent a lot of time in Croatia, went south and spent about a month and a half in Croatia, doing the whole coast. It was great. And then came back through France, Italy and France that time. So it was amazing.
I think you could do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was quite we always say that people are like, oh, don't you find it really hard working with your partner? And I just always say we literally survived living in a 4 meter by 2 meter van together, 6 meter by 2 meter, how big it was. And I think if we can survive that, we can survive anything. It was tough at times, I must admit. Yes.
So that kind of traveling and working as well.
Yeah, and especially because it was a new, I say business, but at the time we were very much still just freelancing, and that was hard because you're traveling around and you've got to find people that don't mind the fact that you're doing that, and that you're still able to provide the work for them and everything like that. So that was kind of hard, but I suppose as you get used to it, and we were very much working from like cafes, hotel receptions, actually university libraries. University cities were amazing because all of the ones in Europe are just free to go in and use. The libraries there are much more aesthetically pleasing and nice to sit in than the ones over here, I suppose. But so that was our kind of time. But as you go along, you kind of find those tricks and you get to find it a bit easier. So, but it was still tough. And even just the fact that we had a day of work, and then you get back to the van and go, right, where are we going to sleep tonight? You have to find somewhere to park, and are you going to go to a campsite? What are you going to do? So it was a very exciting time, but also a little bit stressful and daunting at the same time, because I'd gone from a very comfortable job to starting my own business, and I was like, okay, why have I done this? Why the hell have I done this? But obviously eventually it worked out. But towards so we went for the second time round because we came back for the winter. The van didn't have any heating, so it wasn't very fun when the nights were cold in the winter. So we came back and stayed with the family for the winter and then did another trip the following year. And I think over the winter that gave us a chance to reconnect with some clients, meet some new people. So we brought in a bit more work. And then over the course of that year, it just kind of started growing a bit organically. And we realized that we had the makings of quite a good business and we were doing quite good work. And there were only the two of us, but we were really enjoying ourselves. And we thought, okay, do we want to carry on living in a van or are we ready to live in a house again? And at that point, I was definitely ready to settle down. Yeah. Live in a house, not have to think about where I'm sleeping that night and just chill for a bit. So yeah, that's when we decided to move here and settle down and start the business and properly, well, I say start the business, I always say start the business, but actually grow it, I guess, from the little foundation that we had at the time. But we just knew we had something and we knew we wanted to grow it. So that was that.
I was thinking if you ever miss it, an easier option would be to have a bespoke campervan-like bed made, turn the heating off and open the windows. And, there you go.
Recreate it. Yeah. Yeah. There were some times where we'd think we'd found a really nice, quiet spot to stay for the night. Like in the middle of nowhere, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning you'd realize it's where all the people come to party because it's out of the way and there's no one there. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of over that now. I'm ready to not have that anymore. But we have missed it this year. But I think obviously with everything going on, we normally are so busy doing things on the weekends, going away to places, and I think that's the thing that we've missed really. Maybe not the actual living in a van bit, but one day we'll definitely get another camper van. We've already decided that.
A bigger one with heating.
Yes. Really with heating.
Proper RV.
We saw some amazing ones actually, bigger than probably our flat now, honestly, like lorry size ones that people, they in Spain especially, there's lots of space around the coast and you can just park up and stay anywhere in a lot of places. And there was one that we saw that had extending walls out to the side and it was a full-on house on wheels. And we were like, wow, that is incredible. Ours definitely wasn't that, but you can get some really nice ones.
Yeah, the ones that like you tow with a little smart car as well.
Yeah. Or have a garage in the back for a smart car to drive into. They're the really fancy ones.
Porsche coming out the bottom.
Porsche.
To get your sports car for getting this.
We actually did see one. It looked like a lorry from the outside, and I think it might have even been a Porsche. It was some kind of convertible, very small sports car. Drove and just hooked onto the back of this lorry, and then was like, "Okay, bye, I'm off." It's amazing, but yeah. We definitely weren't in that position. One day, maybe.
Yeah, well, if Oliver gets into Hogwarts, we'll have a bit more freedom.
Yeah. Just wait for that day.
He's 11 on Christmas Day, so he might get his letter. We don't know.
Yeah, Hagrid might arrive.
I think he's going to be really disappointed. Bless him.
Yes.
Aww.
Grand. So, what types of projects are you involved in?
So quite a range at the moment, actually. But we've been working with a lot of tech businesses recently. So they normally so we do web design and branding and marketing. So a lot of them come to us and they're like, we know what we're doing. We're growing quite fast. Like maybe they had a bit of investment in the beginning, but they're ready to take the business to the next phase. And they might need a new brand and a new website in order to have the confidence to do that, but also, show investors and things like that. So we've been working on quite a few tech branding and website projects at the moment, but also working on we're actually building a game at the moment. It is a game, but it's not really a game. It's like a platform for school children, teachers, young people to go and it's a story that helps them think about mental health and anxiety. So you go through the different levels and there's different characters. There's a central character that talks to all these different people about different things, and it essentially helps you work out how to deal with your mental health issues. And so that's been really, really fun. That's involved some illustration, a lot of coding, obviously, and working with a charity on that. So very excited for that to launch. It's with a company called Mortal Fools. Give them a little plug, because obviously it's so tough for the arts sector at the moment. But yeah, so that's been really cool. That's been a nice one to work on during lockdown. And on the marketing side, we do a lot of content stuff, so content and social media. So sometimes it's with someone that we've just done the brand and website for, and then we continue working with them. And sometimes we just work on the marketing side of things. So quite a lot of creative businesses on that side, but also moving into the tech side as well. So it's quite varied. But we were having a chat with our coach the other week, and talking about, okay, what have all the people that we work with got in common? And we worked out that everyone pretty much that we work with is like innovating in some way. We work with an office design company, which may not sound like maybe such an innovative thing, but they're kind of revolutionizing what they do by focusing on people and mental health, and a theory called the human givens, which is for another day. But it's all about meeting people's needs, physical and emotional needs, through the workplace environment. That's cool. And then obviously the tech companies, a lot of tech companies by their very nature are innovating in what they do. So it's exciting, and we get to work with a lot of really motivated and engaged people. We're quite privileged, and we get to work with the business owners a lot of the time. So we get right into the nitty gritty of, what they want to achieve and where they're going and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working on at the moment.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
And you've got a team as well. It's not just the two of you anymore.
No, it's not the two of us anymore. Yeah, we've got four people in the team. So there's two of us on marketing, 2 developers and 2 designers at the moment. We're kind of working out what our next hire is going to be currently. We haven't quite decided on that yet. But yeah, 6 of us. And it's so nice to have a team around us. Now it's not just us. You've got other people to, share ideas with and get creative with. But yeah, it's been a very quick growth, actually. The first people we hired were in September and October last year. And then 2 more one in February and 1 in April. Because things just grew so quickly last year that we were like, okay, we need help. And it just continued after that. So yeah, it's great.
So what's been the biggest kind of change for you in terms of going from being in charge of your own destiny and very free and autonomous to having to manage humans?
Yeah, managing humans, I think, is one of the hardest things to do. You want to be a nice person and a good person, but you also have to know how to have tough conversations and things like that. And I'm naturally one of those people that just wants to keep everyone happy all the time. So I found it quite difficult at first, I think, to do that. But I don't know if we're just lucky. Our team are amazing. So it has, in the grand scheme of things, I think it has been easier than it could have been. But yeah, definitely a massive learning curve bringing other people into the team. Because we were talking about this recently. When you first start a business, you're like, oh no, we don't need processes. We just do what we do. It's fine. And then as soon as even one other person joins the team, you're like, oh, okay, that needs to come out of my head and into their head. So that's what we've been working on probably the most over the last year, as well as working out who we want to work with, what we want to be, etc., is processes and how we can share things between the team easily and stuff like that. But yeah, that is hard, I think.
The delicate balance between not losing all of the fun,
yes,
but then being quite effective as well.
Yeah, definitely. Still need room to be creative, but the process side is important.
Just laughing at your face with that. It's like
processes. We've been doing so much on it recently, and I'm just like, wow, yeah, we've come a long way, but it's getting there now. It's getting there, which is good.
You're gonna say something? It's gonna be a look.
Well, that's the thing though, because it's almost like delegating work or freeing up your time, we talked a bit about earlier. in the beginning, you're both doing everything. And then as you start to delegate or have a subcontractor or bring on an employee, it's almost, this is how I do it, but here's a process. Give them a bit of free rein to say, well, actually, if we did it this way, that would be a bit quicker or would save us some money in that sense. Did you find letting things go difficult? Because often it can be, oh, well, I could do this better, but it's better if someone else does. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I've spoken to so many other people who find that the hardest thing, because micromanagement is the worst thing, in my opinion, you can possibly do. I've had micromanagers in the past and I just couldn't deal with it. And that's always the thing that I don't want that to be me. But at the same time, letting go is hard. And I think it's about finding a balance between the things that you can let go of and you can recognize that's just a different way of doing it, or the things that you think, okay, that actually needs to be done this way because that is the best way to do it. And not just in my opinion, but it's recognized that it's the best way to do that. So I think that's the thing that I've tried to coach myself to do, is recognize which one it is and give the team free rein, but also say, okay, actually, could we do this in this way instead? Or,
Yeah, we don't like micromanagers. So I wrote a little cheeky blog saying how it was a bit of a, I'm sorry that lockdown was probably really difficult for you micromanagers. So just a bit shout out to those people. And
must have been very, very difficult for micromanagers. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, actually. Bonus of not being a micromanager, just let people get on with what they're good at doing.
That's literally the end of the blog. Yeah. Can you imagine how much better it would be if you could just trust people to do the right thing? So
yeah, that's a massive thing for us when we're thinking of hiring new people, is bringing people in that are good at what they do and we can trust them to take the initiative and do what they're good at. And massively important for us.
Yeah. So what do you think the next 12, 36 months or so might play out for Vida?
Well, we've been thinking about this a lot recently, and we definitely need to hire more people if Henry and I are to have the time and sort of resource that we need to grow the business further. So we've been thinking about bringing more expertise in, which is very exciting, and honing in on our ideal customers, I guess, and having the confidence to say no to things. We have started doing that, and that sounds really negative, but actually for us I think it's really positive, because it's good for us because it's work that we enjoy doing, and it's good for the client as well because we know we can do a really good job in that area. So that's going to be the focus for the business, I think. So we are planning to grow, but a little bit cautiously, obviously, given the global situation at the moment, but we're just priming ourselves ready for it and doing a bit of internal work as well with the team on, okay, let's take stock, what's happened this year, where are we now, what do we want to be doing, what are our values that we want to be showing every day and what we do and with who we work with. So that's happening now. It's not quite ready to be out in the open, but that will culminate in a bit of a different visual presence, I think, maybe in the new year, hopefully, for the company, which we're really excited about as well. So yeah, I think that answers the question, does it? Just rambled a bit there.
No, it does. It's and in many ways we can have all these plans, but who knows what's going to happen in the world. So it's almost, you've got to remain flexible in that vision as well, to say, well, this is kind of the intended direction, but let's see what happens. Let's bring in the right people to find more clients, doing the work, not just chasing contracts for the sake of, oh, well, this would bring in X thousand, which we could really do with, when you know that it's going to be
a ball ache.
Suck the life out of you.
100%. Yeah. It's important for everyone you work with as well, because one of our things is that we want to have fun in our jobs. We want people to enjoy their jobs. Us and anyone we work with, or anyone that works for us, we want everyone to have fun. So anything that you just see and you're like, oh no, I don't think so, I think that's a big sign for us, and we're just like, no, we won't take that one on. But yeah, it's good to be in a position now, I think, especially from where we came from, like the two of us just traveling around in the back of a van to the six of us, and now we do have quite a solid foundation, and we know who we are and what we do and what we're good at. So I think this year, even with everything going on, is, if anything, it's given us a bit more time to reflect on that. And it's just I'm excited about the future, really, way more than I was last year. I don't know if it carries on. Hopefully it will carry on like this every year. I'm just like, yes, it's getting better and better. But
I think that in the tech space, I don't think they're having so much of an issue, because when we're moving to a more tech world, aren't we? And with the current situation, we need our tech to work. So
yeah,
you've picked a good industry to work in, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think it's just I don't want to say every single tech company is the same, but a lot of the time they're always looking for the next best thing, like, oh, what can we do now, what can we do next? And I think we're very much like that too. We like to be very proactive with the people that we work with and go, oh, have you tried this idea, have you tried that idea? And they're much more open to that. So that's the kind of other reason why we're really enjoying working with that kind of business at the moment.
Because they're more innovative, and they're willing to take a few more risks and be a bit more edgy than your traditional
I've heard about social media, and I should be doing something with it, but
maybe 10 years ago.
One of those. We've not got a website yet, and
If you don't have a website, you don't exist. If it's not an Instagram, you delete it.
Are you finding as well with growing? I think sometimes the challenge for an entrepreneur is you're doing many different things, wearing lots of hats. Are you building in to the growth, you then working more on what you're passionate about, where you get lots of energy?
Yeah, we've literally had this conversation in the last couple of weeks about mine and Henry's roles, because you just fall into it. You have to do everything at the beginning, but we were both just kind of doing a bit of everything. And we sat down, we were like, what do we actually like doing? What do we not like doing? And sort of luckily, it was kind of opposite for each of us. So we were like, okay, this can be your role, this can be my role. And we've literally put that into action straight away. So I very much more enjoy going out and networking and talking to people. Not that Henry doesn't, but he absolutely loves having the creative input in the projects and working with the team. So in a nutshell, I suppose he's sort of working more in the team, and I'm working more with external clients and taking lead on our marketing, business development, stuff like that, which is great because it means that both of us are enjoying the things that we do now, rather than just not understanding who of us is supposed to be doing what. But yeah, so that's the kind of focus for the future.
No, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Definitely.
So it's over to you, James.
So we're going to go to the quick fire round.
Oh gosh.
Nothing too taxing. Question number 1. Which words do you always misspell?
I have a word that I always misspell and I can't think of it right now. I'm going to be quiet for a minute.
Mine a character in February, just to kind of give you some inspiration.
As a copywriter, I do know how to spell quite a lot of words. Okay, I've got one. I don't know if it counts as a misspelling though. So focusing, 2 S's. I think it has 1 S.
Yeah.
But I always put 2 S's in.
Yep.
And that's the word. Focusing. It gets me every time. And when you Google it, there is no right answer. It's like, oh, you can use one S and two S's, which is even more annoying.
Oh, crikey. That is really annoying.
But it's one of those words, you look at it and it's like, there's something not quite right about this.
Yeah.
There must be a definitive answer. And then you've got either US English versions or like that one where it's, so
It could be anything.
I'm right either way. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's really annoying.
Okay, question number 2. Apart from Newcastle, of course, if you could live and work from somewhere else, where would it be?
Oh, that is
Anywhere in the world.
I would move to Costa Rica.
Obviously, why wouldn't you?
I'm not sure exactly where. Probably on the Caribbean coast. I've not actually been to the Caribbean coast, but I have been to the other one. What's Pacific? I don't know. That's really embarrassing. But Henry and I went about probably 5 years ago now, just for 2 weeks. But I love that country. I would live and work from there in a heartbeat. We always joke about quitting our jobs and going and planting trees in Costa Rica.
It's fine. It's okay. It's normal. Yeah, just take it with you. Take the business with you.
Yeah, everyone can come with us. They'd love it.
Yeah.
And question number 3, it's a bit cheeky as he's not here, but this is why we're asking it. What's the most annoying thing about Henry?
The funny thing is, he'll probably know what it is anyway.
So what can I say that's not too bad?
It's annoying, but also a good thing, I think. So it's kind of a cheat one. He always likes to, so if we're in the office and a couple of us are having a chat about some ideas, even if he's got his headphones in or whatever, and he can see us having conversation, he'll always come over and be like, oh, what about this and what about that? And you're like, oh, that's amazing, I love it. But also sometimes if you just want to have a conversation that doesn't have too many innovative ideas in it, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know if we can use that one. I think I need to say something else.
I know. You know what? You and Henry sound like James and I, but the other way around. So
I need to think what is the most annoying thing about him? I really don't find him annoying, so this is really
that's lovely.
hard.
What's the most annoying thing about me?
He's got a really loud keyboard. Can that be annoying?
Yes, that can be really annoying.
Does it sound
I'll do a pause.
It's like a tap dancing badger.
Yeah.
Type in emails.
Yeah, so the most annoying thing is that he's got a really loud keyboard. He recently bought this new keyboard, which is apparently good for coders, and it's really loud. And he did say, bless him, when he first got it, he was like, I think this is going to be really loud. I'm sorry if it annoys you, but it is a bit annoying when you tune into it and you can't get it out of your ears. It's annoying.
So that's part of the business plan is having a soundproof room for Henry to sit in when he's coding.
Soundproof the keyboard.
Build a box around the keyboard and
Put his hands in.
And it's got it's sealed. Hermetically.
It's quite a good idea, actually. Maybe we should invent that.
Yes. You've got until Monday before this comes out, so yeah, you have to be quick. And then we always ask our guests if we could get a time machine sorted and take you back to your 18-year-old self, and you can have sit down and have a conversation with her, a cup of tea, because that's what 18-year-olds like to drink. What advice would you give? I
would say back yourself and just be confident in who you are and what you're doing. Because when I was 18, I just didn't have any self-belief really. And I don't know if that's a common answer, but I guess I didn't really know what I wanted to be or do, or even when I was choosing universities, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. And I was very indecisive about everything, but really I think it's just because I wasn't thinking about what I wanted or what I was good at or what I wanted for my own life. So I think back yourself. Yeah, that's the main one, I think.
No, it's funny. It's how kind of all of these decisions if you hadn't gone to university, you wouldn't have met Henry, and then you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. That kind of those alternative paths. It's really interesting to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I must say, I did always think / know I wanted to be self-employed, and I wanted to lead or manage people in some way. So maybe, yeah, I don't know, if I'd have backed myself, I would have done it a bit sooner. But like you say, I've loved everything I've done. So maybe if I did back myself, I wouldn't have done all of those things. I don't know. But I still stand by that advice. I think every 18-year-old needs a little bit of a confidence boost.
Oh gosh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's very appropriate advice to give to yourself now as well. So the next stage of growth, which might be unpredictable, uncertain, it's growing the team even more, you're more visible. So it's still great advice now.
It very much is. And as much as it's exciting, it's also really scary inside, and you've got to be the strong one for everyone else that you're leading into the future. And if you don't back yourself and you're not confident in what you're doing, then no one else is going to follow you, are they? So yeah, yes. Definitely.
Awesome.
So for our listeners, if they're interested in tracking you down to talk websites, branding, marketing, where's the best place to look?
So you can go to our website, which is vidacreative.co.uk, or connect with me on LinkedIn and drop me a message, because I don't like random connections that I don't know people. So if you drop me a message, that would be awesome. But yeah, LinkedIn or website.
Cool. Well, shout out to Henry.
Shout out to Henry. Hope you enjoy listening.
And when we're allowed out again, we'll have to meet up for a cup of coffee or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode, when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway and tell everybody.